Hello, welcome. Appreciate you guys coming in here. Welcome to another talk I got here with my friend Charles Douglas, Executive Director of Common Power. But before we
What's
get to
up?
Charles and
What's up,
before we
y'all?
get to some of
Before
the
we
other
get to
news,
me,
before we get to you, we got to do a little
you got
housekeeping
you got to pay
for
the
for
bills.
those of for those of you coming in, because I just got to shout out to you guys. As you're coming in, first off, tell us like where you're coming from, where your city or state. As always, Jennifer saying she always looks forward to Charles. Well, I got some news for y'all.
All right,
You guys coming in here this week, I've done a live show every single day.
Selma. Oh man,
we
someone
we
from
have
Selma.
someone
Go
from
ahead.
Selma.
Sorry,
We're
I
going to
just
talk a
typed
little
that
bit about
out.
Selma
We
there.
will. Yes.
But yeah, someone from Selma, Washington, Ohio. Thank you guys for coming in every day this week. We've done a live show every day this week. And now, happy to tell y'all, we are now in the top 100 rising Substack publications
Top
in US
100.
in US politics. Yep, in the rising US politics section. If you go to
Oh,
my profile, you'll see that it says rising. We're ranked number 76 at the moment. But we we
76.
we rising. We rising because of you guys. Appreciate you in here, all your engagement, hitting the like button, the way you've engaged with me. We got such a surge in paid subscriptions and free subscriptions that I guess Substack took notice. So we rising. So thank you guys so much.
Congratulations, y'all. For real, that's a big deal.
It is. We're
Every day
moving.
this week.
I've done a live every day this week. We're hustling now, man. We're hustling.
Oh, whoa, man! I thought I was special, bro.
No, you. Not everyone gets a weekly like you. Not everyone gets a weekly like you, brother.
I'm joking, man. You got Don Lemon on here, man. Let me.
Yeah, I got Don Lemon on a
Right.
weekly, and you, and my
That's
brother
there you
James
go. There we
Mathewson in
go.
the
I
UK. So
appreciate it. I
So
appreciate it.
appreciate all you guys in the chat. Thank you for the congrats. Thank you for saying where you're coming from. We got people from all over the country here, Colorado, Alexandria, Ohio, everywhere. So thank you so much. Appreciate you. We have a good show for you guys there. We're going to talk about the Texas primary. We are going to dissect what happened on the ground there. And
Yes.
Charles Douglas, with your team at Common Power, you were there on the ground in the Texas primary, knocking doors for James Talarico. So you saw it all firsthand. Just before we get into some of my questions and other like specific takeaways, what's your broad thoughts after coming out of there? What's your feeling?
So, broad thoughts are about Texas. Generally, Texas is really ready to flip. This is the time to do it, and I think I want to say it's a combination of a lot of factors. Every time that something changes, people always give credit to the thing that tips it over.
Mm.
But underneath, there's so much organizing and work that happens. Um, Definitely Beto and his years of voter registration on the ground, the fact that he didn't just run for office and quit, like he turned that energy and that money into on the ground
Yes, glad you brought him up.
energy, right? That's you don't have Talarico without Beto.
Yeah.
And people believing that a statewide election in Texas could work. All the Black and brown community organizations that have been active in the past decade that have been lit up by pushing back against Trump and his craziness, all of that culminates in I guess a groundswell that is ready for pushing back when Trump 2 comes and really starts to target Hispanic populations in Texas, to target folks who are just different from from white people in Texas. And that's what you see. That's what we saw on the ground. People are ready for change. You got people voting who haven't voted in a long time. You got people who are independents.
Yep.
Some of those true independents and some of those just people who used to be regular Republicans and now they have moved, they're looking for a new home. And then you got this massive swing from Hispanic voters, and I keep saying Hispanic because down in Texas and El
Mm-hmm.
Paso, they go by Hispanic as a term for themselves. They're ready to vote for change, and that means Democrats right now. And Talarico got the benefit of that.
Yeah, and you brought up a framework, basically a thesis, because I have so many other like questions about those specific little branches you brought up. I want to kind of drill down on the independents and kind of conservative leaning folks
Yeah.
that Talarico did pull, because one of the reasons why he won is because his message, one of his like stump speech quotables was always like, if you've never voted before, you have a place in this campaign. If you,
Yes.
if you're a conservative disaffected with the party, you have a place in the campaign. If you're an independent, so that messaging seemed to break through. So when you're on the ground knocking doors, did you encounter a lot of independents or any conservatives at these doors that were like, yeah, we're for Talarico or for a
Yeah,
Democrat,
yeah.
generally?
It's just, you're not gonna believe this. So, we were in the hotel lobby, and this is not, I didn't experience this. This came from Wole, actually. He talked to this. It was a family. It was a black family
Hmm.
in El Paso, Texas, in a hotel lobby, and they were Texans, and they said that they are God first,
Hmm.
okay? And that the reason why they didn't one of them didn't vote for Kamala Harris is because, they don't like that DEI stuff, okay? So this is a this is
What a
a
confluence of
this is a black family
an
who
anti-DEI black family. Okay, continue.
they don't like the DEI stuff, okay? They don't like the DEI stuff. Uh, and they said that, and they're voting for Talarico. They're black Republicans who are anti-DEI and pro-Christian, and they're voting for Talarico. And that's one of those, this is why I love knocking on doors, okay,
Yeah,
going on the ground for elections, because it blows away any of your biases that you have about who is a Republican or a Democrat, who's a conservative or a liberal, who's on the right or left. And it really, people are much more, at the same time, like, complex and
yeah,
simple. Like,
yeah.
they're voting for him because he brings people together. That's what they said. Because he's a God-fearing man, and he brings people who are different together. And that's something that you heard him talk about. And for us, it was a major tipping point in who we supported.
Hmm.
It was about, in this moment when we know that people who voted for Trump are regretting their vote, and when we know that the coalition has
Yes.
gotta be broad, and as broad as Mamdani proved that it was in New York, right? He got people in the Bronx who voted for Trump to vote for him. So, in a way that, at a time when populist messaging from the left is resonating across the country, from blue state to red state to all in between, a candidate in Texas needed to bring people together. And Talarico said, it's not about right or left, it's about top and bottom. It's about
Yeah.
income level, and
Hmm.
people who are working class need to come together. And that resonated with people.
No, no. That's really the way you put that with that family. First of all, I want to meet this anti-DI
Oh my God.
black Republican family. I got a couple
If Wole
words
hadn't
for
told me, I
them,
wouldn't have believed it,
but
man. If I would
but
have read it in a magazine, I would have been like, y'all need to stop defaming black people.
no, it's like the one kind of family. I know it's a tangent, but like the one kind of family the New York Times will hunt down. Like the New York Times will hunt down
Yeah,
like
yeah.
one random
You're like, where did you find these
like
people?
outlier, you know.
Yeah,
But like
apparently
you
they try
happen
to
to run
find
into,
us.
yeah, they try to find you. But yeah, on that point, it's like the reason why Talarico really resonated was because he gave something that almost anyone could buy into in the campaign without alienating people. So, like you said, this family, it's God first. He talked about Christianity, and that's one of the way. Like I've known about Talarico. Like Rand actually interviewed, like I told you before, Rand interviewed Talarico back in 2018, when he was running for state house, right? When
Man,
he
look
was running
at
for the
you. I
state.
remember
Yeah,
you said that. You're
yeah.
always in there early, man.
No, we were
You
in
know
there,
what?
and I've met him. I
Thank
met
you.
him in the MS
Thank
now. I met him in the MS now green room. He's a great guy, and he basically what he did and had been doing for years on the ground there is this message that's also been resonating online about this renewal of Christianity in the true image of Jesus, who was a hippie, progressive,
you.
anti-government revolutionary who was against the Roman Empire, right? So like you have that, so you have that part of it, and then that appeals to maybe evangelicals who are feeling disaffected by this new authoritarian tilt, the Christian
I know
nationalism.
that. Look, let me just say real quick on that point about the way that Talarico describes Jesus. Um, he he was making me want to go back to church
Yeah.
more often. You know, like I need to get. I was like, Talarico, tell me again about this hippie. Because if he actually had more, if more people talked about Jesus the way that Talarico does, you would win a whole. This could be the future. You could win back Gen Zers. Okay, if Jesus is a rebel,
And that's what he
uh,
really was.
pushing back against authoritarianism and it's the establishment. That really works right now.
No, it does,
I
and
think
that
that works right
yeah, and
now.
then that Christian aspect, I like I've told you before, like my dad was Muslim, mom Christian. I went to Sunday school sometimes, went to the mosque other times. Really, so my religion ended up being confusion. But
Mhm.
like
I
but
just found out.
but I did I pulled the takeaways and I learned so like
The
what
principles, man, the
the
principles.
principles
Yeah,
you learn that there's truth in all religions. You end up feeling
that's right,
spiritual,
that's right.
but basically Talarico is preaching real Christianity, real, like if you think of a real
The
Christian, it's
principle
him.
of it.
The
Mhm.
principle of it, and that's just one component of it. Like my main point was that there's all these different parts of his message. So there's the Christianity side of it, there's the anti-corruption,
Mhm.
anti-oligarch message part of it, there's that unifying, also we want to move beyond fighting each other to the
Yes.
death every
Yes.
day. We want healing. That was his message, was, and that was also one of the key things. We could talk about the contrast in style in a second, but on that, the fact that he was able to appeal to this broad base of people was because he gave something for everybody. Mamdani did that too. Mamdani didn't say Trump supporters are terrible or white,
Right.
like, or insult them individually. He started, one of his first videos was him interviewing Trump supporters, Trump
Mm,
voters, and asking them, why did you vote for Trump? And then he tailored his message around something that would appeal to everybody. And that's
right.
the future here. That's really the future, because I think Americans, we'll see how it plays at the wider state level, but Democrats in this primary chose, they want to move beyond this just vitriol. And I think most Americans, it feels
Yes.
good to not want to, fight your neighbor who's a
Yeah.
Republican every other day. We want to get back to the time where we could disagree. So I think that's also another
Well,
component
so
of Talarico's
and
message.
I wanna go back to something that you said, um, uh, I would say like 2 months ago where, this has gotta be a moral argument that we're making about this moment. It can't just be a bunch of data and facts. And, somebody in the chat said that Talarico isn't he's not bringing in mentioning Christianity because he wants everyone to follow his religion. He's trying to use this as a way to communicate to people who follow it
Yeah, and I think
and
that's
talking
Elizabeth
about the
from
the
Common Power in there.
principles.
Actually, she
I
says
think
that.
it
E
is.
Mitchell,
It
yeah,
is it's about the principles of it, and it's not solely Christianity. He can quote the Bible because that's what he follows. But to your point, there's so many through lines from other religions that connect directly you know to being kind to people you don't know. you
yeah,
know, to
stuff
strangers,
you teach your
to
children.
guests, right? And that's he's going back to people's core moral core and asking people to remember how they were brought up and to treat people in the way that they know they should. Um, okay, so I got another. Let me go back to El Paso real quick. I have another anecdote.
Well, before
Sorry.
you get to the anecdote, I want to
Okay.
also just shout out people in the chat. We see you.
Yes.
Appreciate you guys. Keep chiming in. Poppin' ass chat as always in here. Y'all the goats. You're one of the reasons why, like I said at the beginning of this, if you guys haven't, you joined later, that one of the top, we're in the now rising US politics top 100 Substack publications, Ahmed Baba News. So appreciate you. That's y'all who did this. Smash that like button, keep hitting it, and subscribe if you have not already. Become a
Yes.
paid subscriber if you can, because that's one of the reasons why we're on the bestseller list. So, and also go support Common Power, who is on the ground knocking doors
Yes.
for campaign Team Talarico, and they send volunteers across the country for Democrats. So definitely do that. Just wanted to do some housekeeping there for those who joined later. But yeah, back to your anecdote in El Paso, Charles.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Somebody said that they don't think that Tallarico Mamdani used the same strategy. I would say technical
Yeah.
strategy, campaign strategy. No, things look different in different cities and different states. Um, what is true? What is true about these new candidates? And I would say I would connect Mamdani to Tallarico to Graham Plattner to Katie Wilson in Seattle.
Hmm.
Um, to even Justin Pearson in Tennessee. The through line there, and the reason why the coalitions for these people is more broad than normal, is because it's about working class people first, and it's about programs for working class people, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's about schools and buses and funding and all of that stuff. And the way you pay for that is that you tax the wealthy. And that's a through line through all their campaigns. This is this taxing the wealthy, and it doesn't even have to be, this an enormous amount of their wealth. It is
Yeah.
literally getting the money back that they got from the Trump tax breaks. Maybe a little bit more than that, but they have made out since COVID, since
Hmm.
before COVID actually, and that's why wealth inequality is on the rise. So it's those two principles of
Yeah.
unifying the working class and prioritizing them, and then paying for this stuff, the programs for them to make their lives better by taxing the wealthy. You can go all over the map. People believe all
Yep.
kinds of different things, but the through line is that right there. And you come back and test me on it, because I really think that is the through line, and that's how we're choosing our candidates actually, to
Yes.
prioritize all around the
No,
country in the primaries.
exactly, exactly. That is spot on. And on that note, like about the Mamdani, especially the Mamdani and Talarico connection. Someone in the comments talking about how Mamdani didn't use like religion, he used like the policy, but like it
Mhm.
was communicating the same values. So like what it is like
Yeah,
Talarico would use Christianity because he in seminary school. He's grew up. He preaches. He used that as kind of the moral backbone and explanation for the policies he's pursuing because he talked about income inequality, whereas Mamdani would just kind of talk about just the moral core of it, but he also would talk about socialist values, right? And
right,
how he
right.
believes, he would use a different framework to
Yep,
look at it. So, and you're right, tying it all together, that's it's not just using the word affordability that ties
right.
all these candidates together that we saw across the political spectrum within the Democratic Party. It was that idea that the rich are getting richer, the
Mhm.
K-shaped economy exists, and we need more policies that are directly addressing this gap and that are helping
Yeah,
everyday Americans. So like that's really why I think Tyler also won the primary too, because he was talking a lot about the issues, and he'd been campaigning for longer. And Jasmine kind of jumped in last minute, so she didn't have as much time to kind of find her footing there. So there's a lot of different reasons there, but yeah, I think that's really what's happening. So on the ground, you were seeing one of the things I want to touch on too,
mm,
as we talk about Jasmine gets brought up here, is there are a lot of online fights about these candidates. But
uh-huh.
from what I'm hearing from the ground, I'm sure
It
you've
was a
seen it
national.
too,
It was more
is
of the
that
national.
yeah, yeah. But on the
It
ground,
Yeah.
people were saying we love both candidates.
Yeah, it was, I'd knock on doors and we'd get, Republicans sometimes. I'd knock on doors and we get Jasmine Crockett supporters, and every single time people were saying, "I can't wait for March 4th." So the day after the election, I can't wait for that Wednesday when we're all together. I see you with the Common Power mug, Ahmed.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
just
s
casually sipping a common
plug,
power. I got the
plug.
merch, man. I got the
Yeah,
merch.
yeah, it's empty. I appreciate once a stream, he has to pretend to drink from a Common
No,
Power
no,
mug.
I was finishing off some espresso
You
there,
gotta go
bro.
slower though, man. You gotta drink it way slower so the logo can stay up
Oh
there
yeah,
longer.
so I got to protect. Yeah, it was a product
There you
placement.
go.
You ever seen the Truman Show? And I'm drinking my common power mug.
That's right, that's right.
No, I was finishing off an espresso, but go ahead.
Um, uh, so every single time people were like, "I wish you the best of luck," or "Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm a Republican. Thank you for knocking on doors, though." People were getting offered water and everything. Like it is. It was not a we hate each other.
Yeah.
We're on opposite sides, and so I want you to lose, and I want you to die out here in the sun knocking doors. It was like regular people, caring about each other across difference, and that's another reason why I go knock on doors, because it reminds me that we can compete on different sides. We can disagree right now and know that as soon as this election's over, we're coming together. Like that, one thing that we do is that we'll go knock on doors in the primary for whoever, and if our candidate loses, we're knocking on doors for whoever the other person is. We did it in
Hmm.
Arizona with Adelita
Yeah.
Grijalva. We didn't knock on doors for Adelita in the primary, and that was a mistake that I made actually. And then as soon as she won, we knocked on doors for her, and then we fought for her to get seated. So that's the way that it has to be. People have to in the primary, we have to compete. Actually, it makes our candidates better, and we have to go with what we believe on principle and on policy. And then as soon as the primary is over, we gotta fall in line. So yeah, a lot of the people in Texas were much more close together than I thought initially. So
Yeah, no, that's great. And also, I want to. There's a lot of debate going on in the chat, which is
oh
which
yeah,
is
yeah,
really
bring one
great.
up. What do you
I
got?
want to bring one up. There's a couple threads I want to pull on. There's one that I will get on next, which is
Okay.
about the concern about Talarico using religion so much.
Sure.
because the concern for Christian nationalism, which he actively opposes. But then there's another one where Natasha and others in here, Cassandra and others, we definitely want to hear you because we see you talking a lot about racism and sexism and fear of that permeating, and there's people who make accusations that that's why Talarico won. I mean, I don't think that's a definitive reason, but I do think that there is something where it's like um, there is that whole electability argument that kind of came about
Hmm.
where it was like where what I'm talking about. The same thing happened
Oh
with
yeah,
Hillary
totally.
Clinton, with Kamala Harris, where there's the idea that and unfortunately maybe that did play a role in some people. But what I wish we had was exit polling. I wish we had
Hmm.
exit poll data because then we could see like exactly what was driving each voter. But from
Hmm.
some focus groups, I did keep seeing electability was one of the main things
Yeah.
people talked about, and I do worry that that there may have been some like people who thought like Crockett, a black woman couldn't be elected in a conservative Texas, so then that's why they went with Talarico. I'm sure maybe they motivated some of the voters. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I totally 100%. I mean, racism is still a thing in this country. Sexism is still a thing in this country. A white man is going to get more passes than anybody else. Period. And that's true in Texas. It's true in the Northeast. It's true in the Midwest. It's true everywhere. So that's a fact of the matter. Um, I think that I think the Texas race wasn't as simple as that. I think maybe it was for some voters. One of the things that really stands out in Texas to me is that Jasmine Crockett, her path to victory was that she was going to activate black voters
Yeah,
everywhere. Um, Harris County in Texas has, I think, 1 million African American voters, or 1 million people. I don't know the exact number. We're gonna have to look that up, but it's hundreds of thousands. And she in Harris County, I think she only beat Talarico by 50,000 votes, something like that. And that was supposed to be a place where black folks were supposed to really, really, really show up. On the other side, Talarico activated Latino voter or Hispanic voters like crazy all over the country, all over the state. So, I mean, there's the like, which, this is a bad place to be where you're comparing demographics and you're saying that
of course.
it's these people's fault or whatever. But the theory of her race where she said, I'm going to win because I'm going to activate black voters, that actually didn't happen. Black voters in Texas did not blow up this election for Jasmine Crockett. They showed up in some numbers, but it was not massive in the counties where there's these giant black populations. And I think that there's something to be said there about the black voter, about energy around elections, about fatigue after having to carry the Democratic Party for generations and being the most strong Democratic voters. That's why you see so much pushback in the chat about like all
Yeah,
this blue no matter who stuff and
yeah,
and and all this like fall in line stuff is not what I'm about. Is because black voters have been the most consistently Democratic voter. Black
yeah.
women first and then black men, even though all that bullshit talk about black men, you know, losing
Going
the
for
election
Trump.
for
Yeah, yeah.
whoever.
I don't know a single
Um,
black man other than maybe that family you met in the
they're the outliers. They're the
hotel. They're
only
the
the only ones.
outliers.
So I could see the fatigue. I could see the fatigue. My thing that I have to, and also like not participating in No Kings
Yeah, of
and
course.
any big numbers, um, not being at the forefront of this resistance movement right now. I think there's a question that the African American community needs to ask itself now about where it is we do show up and how we're going to be counted when it comes down to the victory party,
Yeah,
right?
and what I think is, a lot of honestly, this is probably the most debate-filled chat we've had,
Good.
which is
Keep it
important because
going.
that's what primaries do. And I mean, I agree. I do think that it was more than just that contributed to her loss. Frankly, I think there was a lot of other things going on. You were on the ground. Talarico had a much bigger ground game. There was 22,000 volunteers. There was a lot of other things that happened and things that went wrong with Crockett's campaign. Frankly, just to be honest, that that didn't uh that didn't portend for a win. I'm just like, I mean, just there's a lot. There was quite a few things, but yes, I do think racism and sexism played a role in the electability argument. But overall, I really do think, like, when it comes to that, people who are talking about the fall in line thing, I just think I understand the exhaustion because people think, oh, we need black women's votes, but we don't want their leadership, as people say that in the chat. Um, you know, uh, okay, I don't agree with the chat claim of black people need to leave the Democratic Party. Now, okay, now what I want to say now is that
The chat's
act like
fired up,
the
man.
chat's fired up, but what I want to say is this: like right now we are in an emergency,
Yeah.
right? And if you do think we're in an authoritarian threat at the moment against Donald Trump and the Republican Party, like that are literally murdering people in the streets, that are that are really in a way, like starting these war, like we're in a place where we need to just, it's one of those rallying moments where you can have an internal democratic debate about tactics and all of that, which we will on the 2028 stage. Right now there's a midterm coming up in which Senate states, there's a lot of states in play. North Carolina, Roy Cooper, probably one of the best recruits we have out here on the Democratic side. Like there is a place where this is a moment where people do need to unite. And the people who are really about that life are out there and they will vote because they know the threats. They know that this is a direct repudiation of 1965 and the chat. No, I'm not saying now is not the time. We can have these debates. I'm just saying that the idea that Democrats should leave the Democrat or black people should leave the Democratic Party is frankly reckless. I think right now we're just in a place. We're just in a place. There's nowhere to go. And at this specific moment, we also have to be realists and pragmatic.
That's right.
About the fight for decency we have right now. We have real threats to our democracy. And it's just one of these moments where I understand the pain and the hurt, especially of Crockett supporters in Texas. And for the most part, the ones that aren't online, I see a lot of the time, they're saying they're going to go vote for Talarico. They're understanding the stakes here, and Talarico is going to go out there and earn the votes of black people. And he talks about how he needs to earn them. And the one thing I do like about Talarico, just before we move on to the next thing, is that he is. People have been accusing him of being like moderate or like centrist or something, even though he's actually more progressive, which is wild. He's actually progressive.
Wait. That debate, dude. That's not even debate. The people spouted as fact that he's the moderate. Only because they see that some Republican voters like him. His policies
and he's moderate in demeanor, maybe in demeanor, but not in substance. And on the thing is that
he was talking about working class people stuff, and he was talking about taxing wealthy people.
And the point I just want to make on that is that he was not the more moderate candidate, and he was actually pulling people over. But the thing is, he is making this case and pulling people in from across the aisle while not throwing trans people under the bus, while not throwing key demographics under the bus. He's no one can point
while still fighting for.
No one can point to me as still fighting for abortion rights. No one can show me a single thing he has said or done that has thrown these other groups under the bus. If he did, we'd be calling it out. We're black men ourselves. We don't stand for that, right? And that's one of the things that I think is more admirable. Like I called out Gavin Newsom when he was doing that podcast, and he started talking about because you don't need to give in to extremists to pull people in from all sides. So yeah, I mean, I think most people are aligned and understand that we're in a place where you need unity, and that's why you need healing. You need people who are willing to move beyond what we have here. But honestly, I'm hyped that this chat is so popping. Like, I would never say now is not the time to have these debates. We need to have these debates. I just think that when it comes time to the ballot box and we're facing down a regime that wants to be a regime, we can, and you look at, I know the people in the 1960s would vote in opposition to this administration.
Mm-hmm. Let me just say, so I got another anecdote. So here's another one. This one blew me away, man. And this gets to a different view on race when it comes to Talarico.
Yeah.
So I go up to this door, and there's this woman who, um, she she herself looks like she could pass as a white woman, but she has a strong accent. She's a Hispanic woman, and I was like, "What do you think about James Talarico?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, 100%. I'm voting for James Talarico." She goes, "We can't trust white people." She's like, I wouldn't vote for a white person. We I just they don't like us. They don't like us." And I was like, "You still voting for James Talarico, right?
What?
You you still want to vote for James Talarico?" And she goes, "Yeah, he's not white though.
Oh, they think, yeah, because of
James
his Latina.
Talarico's James Talarico's Mexican." That's what
Yeah.
she said. "James
Yeah.
Talarico is Mexican. His family's been here 8 generations." She said, "James Talarico is Mexican." And I just was like, I was blown away by that, and she was
Yeah.
sure. She was sure, and I thought about, like, here here she is, white passing, and how many people look white, you know, in the eyes of the average American, and they are Mexican people, and she's like, "James Talarico is one of us," and that really, it is such a complex, anybody who takes a Seattle lens, a California lens, a New York lens, and tries to bring it to a swing state
Hmm.
and say, "This is the language you should be using," or "Here's the reality you should be living," or "Here's what it means to be a truly a person of color," or "Here's what it means to," like, leave that at home, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Leave
exactly.
your coastal liberal, norms at home,
Yeah. There's a lot of
and do
different.
not go to a state like Texas to learn. Go to these places to learn and find out more about this country, not to tell it what to do. And that's one of the beauties of what we do by going around and knocking on doors, is that it actually, it kind of levels our view of the country and humbles our own perspectives. Because I come
Yeah.
from a strong perspective. I like, my dad was a Panther, and I was born in one of the most, liberal places in this country. And I believe that we should have certain rights, right? And so I
Mm.
come to these like, this is the truth, y'all. I just got back from Selma, mourning the loss of Joanne Bland, and hearing the news about Bernard Lafayette passing. We're gonna have to go
Exactly.
back in 2 weeks for his memorial.
Rest in
And I
peace.
and we travel to Selma, every other month, almost, sometimes twice in a month, to go and learn from
And
those people.
I've been there with you, and I've
And
met
you've
both
been
of
with
them.
there with us, a couple times. So like, I get it. We get it, where we've been, where we come from, what the fight is, what it means at the highest levels. I party with elected officials in DC. I understand, like, all different levels of it, and the truth is on the ground at the doors. And
Yeah.
it's different than what we believe and what we come with and our own biases. And we should humble ourselves and learn from these regular people who are deciding the fate of this country.
Exactly. No, 100%. And see you guys still chiming in the chat. Yeah, hit the like button, keep commenting, ask questions if you have them. I'm not sure if the Natasha person is still here, but if you are, I wanted to say that, like, the reason why it's not a one-on-one situation. I'm in a conversation here, so we can't respond to every single thing you said in the chat. So if you felt like we weren't listening to you at different times, it's because we can't see you through a flurry of chats and we're having a conversation. So the conversation, maybe we'll do another standalone pod in the future, maybe about internal democratic uh debates we need to be having ahead of 2028 and that kind of thing. But yeah, we were just kind of trying to focus in on this primary. So I think the person did leave though, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think
That's
you're
all
right.
right. I think people get real passionate about, what they believe and stuff. And this is a moment where, man, I mean, you wake up in the morning, and I mean, you hear about people that you love passing, and you see what's going on in the Middle East. And then, down the street, ICE is taking people from you. And I mean, it's just, it is a lot. It's a lot right now. And it's to come to a place like this, where somebody sees you, and people see you, and strangers, like, can, hear what you have to say, and they give it a little credence. I mean, it feels, it's a good release place. And at the same time, it's like, man, is tough to fully serve a human being in a space like this.
Well, yeah,
But it's
yeah,
good to be together
yeah,
and just talk it out.
yeah. I think we got to talk it out because the thing is, like, one of the things with just the idea that black people should abandon the Democratic Party. The fact that we even think about Joanne Bland and Bernard Lafayette dying in recent days, like there are people like who live their lives like dedicated to a cause that we have to pick up on.
Mhm.
We have to put aside our internal, um, at this specific moment, some of our internal strifes and work with cross coalitions that we might not want to. I mean, if you look back at, I started reading this book. It's like something. It's like called The Good War. It's about. It takes a look
Mm.
at the civil rights era from a military strategy mind,
Oh.
and it talks about the tactics that they were using and the
Mhm.
pragmatism of MLK. And like, I mean, I already read that biography, wrote that speech. You already know. Like, you are on the ground. You learn from nonviolent movements. Like, none of us are
I
novices
trained with Dr.
in
Lafayette.
you
Yeah.
trained with Dr. Lafayette. I've been doing this journalism pro-democracy work for 10 years since I was 24, 23 years old. Like, none of us are novices here. Back when I had hair, I lost it documenting Trump's presidency. So like, don't, I was so like, we've been doing this work for a long time
Yes, sir.
and have
Yes,
been in
sir.
the actual fight, like out here in the actual streets trying to like push back on this authoritarianism. So none of us are being, naive or unaware of these dynamics. We just recognize the real threat. And, when people are dying in the streets, being killed by ICE agents, we have to come together. And I hope
Yeah.
after this, especially in this primary specifically, I think they're gonna come out. Jasmine Crockett has already said she endorsed Talarico, said she
Oh,
backs
did
him.
she?
Yeah, she
That's
sent out a
great.
post saying that, we should unite ahead of the primary. I hope she campaigns forcefully for him to help to bring people out because right now, again, like I'm not saying that the conversations and the strife or the disagreement people have with the way Democratic Party's conducted itself isn't worth debates aren't worth having. I think I got plenty of disagreements with Dems right now, and it's not fall in line, right? Like
So much disagreement with them.
we critique the Dems all the
So
time.
much
It's
disagreement.
just I draw the line. I draw the line at abandon and don't show up and vote.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh, yeah.
personally is that is a we can have debates, we can critique, we can primary people, we can move the party in the right direction. I just cannot endorse in any way the idea that black people or people, any demographic should not show up and vote right now. I think it's delusional and reckless, frankly. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just
I
gotta,
mean, that look, that's
there are people who
I
are
would,
dying in the streets. Like my
bro.
parents,
Yeah.
their home country, their visa, if they were born there now, they couldn't come here now
Yeah.
because the Trump targeted Sierra Leone. There's real shit happening. So I can't sit here on the sideline and say, you know what? Let's advocate for certain demographics to not show up and vote. Like, just we're
Yeah.
past that shit, frankly, and I think
Yeah.
we just got to move forward. So I'm sorry, get a little bit worked up about that.
Yeah.
But like, there's real stuff happening, and lives have been lost because of people who had that mentality in 2024 and stayed
That's right.
home and didn't vote for Kamala. We have
That's right.
wars now. We have people who are dying. So I get a little angry about that, and I
So,
apologize if it's too much. But
okay, okay. Let's move on to the dummy mander, please.
yes, let's close this out
Let's
with
talk about
the
let's talk about
idiocy and the backfiring.
how the Republicans have shot themselves in the foot with their shitty gerrymander in Texas. Okay, so bunch of Hispanic voters move over to the Republican Party and vote for Trump. Okay, that happens in 2024.
Yeah,
So as soon as that happens, Trump starts these policies that directly target Latinos and Hispanics in this country and completely abuse the shit out of them. All right, and then Trump's actions, that piece and more, make it so that the midterms are out of reach for him. So then what the answer is, let's redraw the maps based on when Hispanics and Latinos loved us. That's what they did.
I know,
And they
it's
thought it would
wonderful.
work. They thought it would work.
It's
Four new
wonderful.
districts in Texas. Four new districts in Texas. Every single one of these new districts, more people voted in the Democratic primary than the Republican primary. And not a little bit.
By a lot.
We beat them in every single one of these primaries by 40. two of the districts by 50%, one of them by 60%, and one of them by 80%. Democrat in the Democratic primary outvoted the Republican primary by 80%. Crazy. Every single one of them
I know.
were
No,
were
it's
giant
wonderful.
Hispanic populations, man.
It's incredible. And yeah, we're going to see this in other states because they really drove they drew these maps based off that 2024 output where they thought that they won a centuries long culture war and they won these demographics over. And now you have Latinos and you have these. We saw this in Virginia, Manassas County. We saw it in Jersey and other counties where these Latino swings, you know, it's really something where it's just another level. And I think the reason why I'm glad you brought this up is because there's a lot of fear right now about Trump stealing the midterms. And remember when this
Right.
gerrymandering campaign was also like deemed as the thing of them stealing the election. Look how
Mm-hmm.
it's backfired. You drew
Yeah.
4 new districts that could still vote Democratic. So I really think like that's the lens we threw. We got to look at some of these other tactics. Like whenever Trump announces these new things, they end up backfiring. That's the story of this whole term. He
Mm-hmm.
does something stupid, it backfires, it ends up helping the other side.
That's
So
right.
like I really do understand the fear about stealing the election, but I think we got good stuff in the bag. And I see, people in the comments, thank you all for chiming in, hitting that like button. Definitely hit the like button. It boosts us in the algorithm and it'll boost the write up I do of this afterwards. So if you want to go watch the full thing in
Yeah.
context, then
Texas is going to be so one, we're not going to see any more efforts to gerrymander on the right. Like people are done with this. What was it, Kansas? Was it Kansas, the state that paused their gerrymander last minute, like right before
oh
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
gonna.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
there's
Republicans across the country have been these
uh
legislators have been defying Trump's demands.
that's right, and I think they saw the writing on the wall. Who's the dude with the eye patch who lost
Dan
his election?
Crenshaw.
Crenshaw is one of the ones who was in a deeper red district in Texas, and he lost his primary.
Yeah.
Um, that it's just that we're going to see a lot of flips in Texas. They've weakened their position, and Texas, I think, is a bellwether for so many other parts of the country.
No, it really is. And I think like you said, it could be flipped. And I do think again, a lot of what's happening on the ground does not reflect the sentiment we see online. There's a lot of opinionated, loud people online that have their thoughts, their divisive thoughts, their entrenched views that are not reflected on the ground. The people on the ground, a lot of the time, just want to see how people can affect their day to day lives. They want inclusive messages. And I really think the sentiment overall is that Americans are fed up with the anger and the
Mhm.
vitriol, and they want to move forward in a new way in 2028. So I think we're going to see bellwethers. I also think the Virginia race from last year was a bellwether
Oh,
of where
totally,
the country's going to head, like nationally, because the demographics are
totally.
so dispersed in a way that kind of meets what the broader country has. But I think, man, I'm feeling optimistic in spite of everything happening. There's new jobs numbers today. February, employment rate rose, which is terrible. But also showcases the failures of Trump's economic policies. You have
Unemployment rate rose to what is it
four
at?
point four
4?
percent,
Oh my gosh!
and I think it was 92,000 jobs down.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, we're in one of these areas where the like people are remembering what happened when in 2024 people didn't show up to vote.
Hmm.
People decided they weren't going to support Kamala for different reasons, for some of the reasons that people outlined in this chat, frankly,
Hmm.
about the racism and the sexism, right? And you decide not to show up to vote for her, or you decide to give in to some, internal grievance you might have. And then you get Donald Trump, term 2,
Yeah.
which has been the most disastrous administration of all time in American history. And I think Americans now are grappling with that. That's why we're
Maybe in
seeing.
global history. Maybe it.
I don't know about global. I think Hitler was worse, but we've got American history for
Yeah.
sure. American
Yeah.
history for sure. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, man. Like I think we're in a situation where Americans are realizing like I think they're going to be smarter moving forward. I think that with their votes, with the way that they think about politics, the
Hmm.
pragmatism, with what lies they choose to believe, we're going to see it. Especially this Iran war. Come on, How many more lines does this guy
Yeah.
has to draw, like cross and betray for people to wake up? I think we're starting to see more of that.
Did you see the article in the Financial Times is talking about some of the Arab countries are going to pull their financial investments out of the U.S. now to help pay for the cost of this oil
I
hit?
saw one of my friends, Sammy. She's a journalist. She
That's
actually
going to hit him in the
founder of
wallet. That's all
Betches.
his deals.
Yeah, what I was gonna on that note was that she was saying like how funny would it be if like the sovereign, the wealth fund pooled from the Paramount deal
Oh my God.
because of that, right?
Yo, we haven't even talked about this, man. We
we,
haven't even
we talked
talked
about
about.
Paramount a little bit last time. We didn't talk
No,
about it when
man.
it closed.
Did we?
Not in like in full.
Did we talk about losing DC Comics
Yeah, we did.
to Trump?
I think we talked about it very briefly. Yeah, but if he lost the Paramount deal,
As nerds, did we talk about it?
I think they'll keep James. Not as nerds. We didn't talk about it. I think they'll keep James Gunn. I think they'll keep James Gunn.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean,
They'll
I
just be
think
like,
we.
listen, this bad guy who looks like a Nazi is not he's not that bad though. We need to
Yeah, the next Superman movie. Someone was saying because you know how like the first Superman movie was pretty much an anti-Israel. Like, I mean, it very clearly he was intervening
the
in the Gaza conflict. Like,
occupation in the
come on, he was very
yeah.
clearly like stopping
That
Israel from
that would
attacking.
not happen.
Well, like it was it was like an
And
amalgamation of like Putin and Netanyahu was that character that they had
yeah,
in the movie. But basically, they were saying the next one would be like Superman would go there and then he would help. He would basically
help the
go there
military
help
beat
Israel
the
in the new movie.
wall.
But because Barry Weiss and Paramount, that's all that they're doing. Like the CBS News and Fox News, especially Fox.
Yeah.
Just like 2003 with the Iraq War, man. People are out here
I
just drumming, just beating the drum. And what I'm happy about is this time we actually remember what happened then. Most
mhm,
people do. So like it's even though it's not as like taboo.
right.
I'm still get some people still get some heat for speaking out against the war, but like just because the Iran regime is evil doesn't mean it's a good idea
Right.
to attack them. And also, did you see the latest thing? I'm because I'll probably end up talking about it next week too. But like the about the school that it was might have been us. The New York Times did an analysis and made a pretty compelling case that it was American strikes potentially that took out the over 160 children at that
That's
school
crazy.
in Iran, which would be a atrocity, a war crime,
Yeah.
and would just show like the unhinged nature of this
Man, the
war.
images of them using the parking lot to bury those kids is from the air. You see, and that's just devastating, dude. It's devastating.
Yeah,
I think that the part of the thing you're talking about how people are feeling more courage to speak out against what's going on in this war actually connects to what we've been saying about Trump stealing the election and what we said last week that he just doesn't have the backing. It's all up and down the infrastructure in the federal government, on in the conservative, wait, not the conservative, in the Trumpism and the MAGA
base.
Republican
Yeah.
Party. They're just not gonna. They're not afraid of him anymore. They also see cracks in his power.
Mm-hmm.
He's not gonna win them elections like they thought. He's not gonna primary them like he said he was. He's not making the world better. He's not making their lives better. He's not lowering costs. He's not making us more free. He's not, right? And so that's why people are like, you know what? Fuck this guy. And then these are people, fucking Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes says he's going to
Nick
vote Democrat
Fuentes
in
is like, vote
2028.
Democrat
Jesus
on fucking
Christ.
Alex Jones's podcast on the, what's it called? What's Alex Jones's thing? I forget what the
I don't. I think he's sold. I think it's not named Infowars anymore, but it's something else
Infowars.
now.
No, I saw the little picture of the Infowars
Oh,
thing on the,
oh,
um, yeah, he's like, vote Democrat. He's like, we believed him. We helped him. He was like, I wore the MAGA hat when I was in college, and I believed that he was about all these things. And it turns out he's not about anything. And he's like, I feel like the only way we can fight against him now is to vote Democrat. And I'm just like,
And the thing is, what?
And
Yeah,
that's where we are.
yeah, that's where we are. And also, people saying he's full of shit or whatever. But yeah, I mean, obviously,
Who's full
yeah,
of shit?
Nick Fuentes. Yeah, obviously, Nick Fuentes
Oh
is
yeah,
nothing. But like the thing is, the fact that what that is evidence of a cracking coalition.
yes,
You know, with
it
Tucker
is.
Carlson doing the speaking out against the war, and again, like all of this stuff that's happening, people are recognizing it.
Could
And
you? Yeah.
yeah, and just to close out on that whole point, like we were talking about the Iran and the children being killed. Like it's again stuff like that where it's like it's hard to tolerate the idea of not voting against this.
I mean, well, so okay, so here's based on based on like how this, you know, what's been proposed in certain points in this stream and other conversation online. What happens if we, the broader we, regain power in the House? Okay, what happens if we regain power in the House, and then in 2028 we kick them out of the presidency? But the coalition does not include the coalition that makes this happen like there's certain people on the left who just drop off and decide not to be a part of this. When it comes to like, all right, what are we gonna do? The people who fought this battle are gonna look to the left and look to the right and be like, who was with us in this coalition?
And then they're going to vote and they're going to
Who
implement
are the
their
people who
interests.
were with us who helped us fight and march in the streets and get out the vote and all of that? It's not gonna be the people who sat it out. Like if it's about us, y'all, then let's vote in our own self-interest and align with the people who are fighting for more of our values than not.
Yeah,
Being in look, this is one of those like, look, being an adult means you're compromising.
you got to make tough
Sometimes you
choices.
get up and go to work and you're like, I fucking hate this. I don't want to do it. I don't want to have to go to the store. I don't want to have to like all these things that we end up doing that we don't love doing. It's about compromise. Moving this country forward is always about compromising some of your values in exchange for more that you want. That is what and fuck like governments, coalitions in your neighborhood. If you're a part of a nonprofit, if you're part of a coalition of nonprofits or a table or anything, if you're trying to get a project done in your corporation, you in order to get shit done as an adult, as a responsible person, you have to say, I'm gonna meet you in the middle. I'm gonna give up some of the stuff that I wanted in exchange for some of the stuff you want. That's how the world works. Fuck politics, y'all.
Yeah,
That's how being an adult works. So if you're like, yo, fuck it, if we don't get what we want, we're not doing, then you're not operating as a real person right
and
now. You're just
also,
popping off. You're just popping
yeah,
off
and
on social media
yeah,
and whatever. And that's not a real point of view. We have to, like, the responsible thing to do is to figure out how we can get the most that we want, not every single thing, and actually build bridges with people who we have some disagreements with that we
exactly.
actually wouldn't eat with. You know, we wouldn't actually fuck with them outside of an election. And now we're
Yeah,
going to so that we can make inroads.
and and and
That's what has to happen right
and
now.
yeah, and especially when now the Democratic Party has moved so much on so many key issues. Like now being anti APAC is like the definitive Democratic
Hey, for
stance.
real, hold on real quick. Hey, if you don't I just want to real quick. Look, if you don't like what I'm saying, why
No,
are
no,
you watching this?
don't pay attention.
Why are you don't
No,
have to be here?
no. Someone said we've been accused of mansplaining a few times during. We're just two men talking to each other, so that's like,
I'm sorry.
and I do analysis for a living, so I kind of
And you're
explain
here.
things. So
You could
I'm
be
not
watching
trying. We're
so
not
many things
again.
on Substack.
We're not trying to like. I understand the pain and the frustration with the sexism and racism in the country and in the various parties. We see that as well, and we talk about it all the time. We actually spend a good deal of time talking about how that's one of the reasons why Kamala Harris lost, and we're sitting here advocating for why Kamala Harris should have won. That's not very, that's not very. Okay, this is one. It's just one person in the chat. I don't want to give it too much
All right.
attention.
Sorry,
But I
man.
want to
Sorry.
what I want to talk about is the fact that like we are in a place where you're right. You have to make compromises in order to like every single leader in history who got things done understood the need for this. You have to build coalitions. The way Lincoln got the 13th Amendment passed wasn't like, this we have to the congressperson that we recruit here and hunt down to get to vote for this has to be a perfect human being. He knew this thing had to get done. You can't let perfect be the enemy of good.
That's
When
right.
you let perfect be the enemy of good, you get a Trump second term or a Trump first term.
Mm-hmm.
You get a culmination of America's historical sins and wrongs embodied in a human being, wreaking havoc on our institutions and our country, having federal agents kill people in the streets, dead. Every single life matters. You have a school of 160 girls, entire world shattered, their lives exploded. So I can't really be told that we somehow have to twist ourselves into knots and withhold our votes from this other party because they don't represent every single thing that I personally believe. They have actually moved a lot on so many issues. They should be given props for some of the ways they've moved. All right, and you and I have plenty of criticism for Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, but we would still vote Democrat. I'm still a registered Democrat. I'm an independent journalist, but when I vote Democrat because I'm a part of the pro democracy coalition that has to recognize. You may be happy and feel self-righteous if you stay home to vote in 2026 and 2028. How do you think the people who were self-righteously stood aside and didn't vote for Kamala Harris feel right now?
Mm-hmm.
People who didn't vote, black people got totally decimated from the federal government. Trump single-handedly rose the black unemployment rate with how he targeted DEI in the private sector and in the federal and in the federal government. Like, we're talking real shit here. We're talking people. There's kids who, like, I can't imagine how any leader could actually even like accept any loss of life, like a child. We have 160 of them that just were eviscerated because of our choice, America's choice in 2024. Those human beings would still be here. Renee Good and Alex Preddy would still be here. Okay, so it's like, it's real talk. This isn't some online, like, And I know I'm going off, but like, man, this stuff gets me worked up because there's human beings,
Hey man, it's
bro.
Ahmed Baba news. You know what I'm saying? Go off.
I know. I'm just saying, man. Like, it's like there's just I don't have a patience for it.
Yeah.
I understand the debates about, like, I'm you and I have been sitting here for the past year in our various episodes criticizing the Democratic Party in a lot of ways. Like, we're not saying don't criticize the Democratic Party. We're just saying, if you're saying like people shouldn't vote,
Right.
it's psychotic, because what you're doing is you're going to enable people who are dying, people who are losing their lives. Like, I'm sorry, it gets me worked up. So like, my point is, like,
That's okay, man.
you can withhold your vote, you can withhold your votes in the primary, you can have these debates, but when the time comes, it's like when you're in a stage, like, you can privately make that choice, but if you're online trying to advocate for other people to do that, please don't.
That's
Because like, it's just like every time I wake up and I see a story of another person who's been killed by ICE, or another young child who's killed now in Iran, not by Israel, not is by Israel. People were pissed about Israeli weapons, or is Israel using American weapons to kill children in Gaza in 2024. This time it was America that did it, potentially, according to the New York Times. And it's like,
yeah.
you would think that by now people would recognize these votes have stakes. You can sit behind your computer, you can sit behind your whatever privileges you have, and be fine maybe if you don't vote. But there's a kid in Iran that's not alive today because people didn't vote for Kamala Harris. There's Renee Good's not alive because people didn't vote for Kamala Harris. So just wake the fuck up. Sorry. And I'm really only really just talking about a couple people who were in the comment sections. Everyone else here, this isn't directed to you. All of you guys in the comments, thank you so much for being here and hitting the like button. Subscribe to AhmedBaba.news if you want to support my independent journalism in occasional moments where I pop off. But yeah, Charles, my
Do
bad.
you pop off like this in the other?
I don't. This is my first.
I
I'm
appreciate you
usually
feeling.
very calm and collected, man. I'm kind
No,
of
no, no.
known
Are you
for that.
kidding? I'm popping off. Like, I think we bring it out of each other. You also tend to give up parts of your history on this live, and
This live, I
I'm
get too
glad you
personal,
didn't
man.
dox
Dude, dude,
yourself
dude, dude. I'm glad at least I didn't dox
this week.
too many high school characteristics of myself in this week. But yeah, man, and
What's
I'm pop, but like,
It's all good, man. That's what this is. That's what this one is. What are we looking forward to next week? What do we got?
all right. So next week, I don't know if Pam Bundy's hearing is next week, but
Pam Bundy still
we didn't even get to talk about Christy Nome. But
is she worth talking about, man?
no, not she's out. But like, what they're gonna try to be doing is what I'm interested in seeing is if Republicans try to say like, look, like, oh,
Oh, the Pam
I
Bondi.
no, if they, no, well, first off, Christy Nome, they're going to try to say, oh well, ICE situation handled because Christy Nome's gone. Like they're going to try to
Okay.
use
All
her
right.
as
All right.
the caricature. I'm looking at Iran pretty much primarily heading into
Yeah.
next week just to see what happens. Because we're
Yep.
seeing new pressure being put on Iran.
I think the Arab countries pulling out their money is gonna
But I also saw there was new sanctions
huge.
put on Iran by I think Kuwait or another country. So,
Oh, interesting.
so I don't know. We'll see. But or new UAE. I gotta look at it. I just briefly saw it before we popped
Mhm.
on. But I think I don't know, man. I just think the Trump administration is going to continue to squirm. They're
Yeah.
weak. That's the primary lead
They're
story is that
cornered.
they're weak and they're cornered.
I love how how there's like the anti-war pressure simultaneously while people are still like Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we're doing such a good job of like not letting him distract us. Like
yeah.
it's like, okay, you want to add another terrible thing you're doing? All right, we'll just add another terrible thing we're talking about. We are talking about all the things and the midterms
Hmm.
and the like we're getting it done, y'all.
Yeah.
Like really, folks are getting it done, for all the holes you can fall in social media. People are
People are
still
focused.
focus, surfacing all the things. Sometimes people's post is literally just a daily reminder of this thing
Yep,
and this other thing, and that's we got to keep doing it, and that's what gets
exactly.
it helps to inform voters. It helps to keep people activated. It lets the people who are volunteering their time right now, either on election stuff or on the resistance, feel like people have their backs and people care about their work, and it just continues to add energy to what we're doing, and that's what we need it. We need it everywhere.
That's what it's all about, man. Thank you for hopping on here, Charles. I always,
I love it.
I guess you bring it out of me. I guess a week worth of keeping it all together and calmly talking about,
That's
death
what
and
this is,
destruction
man.
all week, and by the end of the week, if someone's, when you're covering a war, the details of a war all week,
I
and then you
mean,
have someone in your comments saying black people should leave the Democratic Party and not vote. It's gonna trigger some anger.
it's
It's
gonna
gonna
come
trigger
out.
some anger
Yeah,
when you're seeing bodies of dead children pile up. So
oh yeah, it's
you
tough.
got to let it out. You got
Hard
to let
times,
it out.
bro.
But yeah, thank you for being here, everybody in the comments. We got Leslie, we got Gigi. You were all throughout the chat. Tracy, Jennifer, Pandora, Vicky. We got Nicole. We got everybody. Leanna, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Hit that like button. And again, if you guys missed it earlier, you have helped make Ahmed Baba News in the top 100 Substack publications that are rising in U.S. politics. You are incredible.
Rona,
We're gonna keep at this. We got Rona. Oh, Rona, you were in here this whole time.
Angie's
Ruth,
been in here.
Angie, Amy. Kitty
Amy,
Cat. Kitty Cat's actually a new paid subscriber who's
word, word,
incredible.
word.
Thank you for your support. So if you guys are here and you haven't already, hit the subscribe
Deb,
button.
Tracy,
If we got Tracy, Deb, and if you haven't already, consider becoming a paid subscriber because it's boosting me up in these charts, and we're making an impact collectively in
that's
our
right.
independent journalism. And Charles, go support Common Power. Subscribe to their Substack. Look them up in the App Store. There's an app that
Come knock doors with
that
us.
I build. Go knock doors with them. Across the country, they're going to be all over the place in midterms because you're talking to two people here that are about that life. We've been doing the work, and we're dedicated to this work.
Yes,
We want to make we want to make America not authoritarian again. That's
make America not authoritarian.
again because it was authoritarian before. The early Jim Crow,
How
slavery era.
now? How
We want
now?
to. I don't think that I haven't thought through the acronym yet. I don't think the acronym works, but I think the saying can work.
Coin it.
Make
You
make
heard it here
America.
first.
Oh,
Nah.
people are saying you upgraded. Thank you. Oh, I see you coming in. I saw you, Kelly Winter, come in. Paid subscribers coming through. Thank you
Someone's
so
looking up Common Power.
much.
Look us up. Come
Look
knock
up Common
doors. Look,
Power. Look up Common
look.
Power.
Don't listen to
Go knock
anybody who's not
doors.
doing the work. Listen, there's too many talking heads with opinions who don't actually get out the vote, and talk to voters. Don't listen to them.
Yeah,
Listen to Ahmed and and Charles,
And Charles Douglas
and
and
come
Common
knock doors with
Power.
me
Come knock doors with Common
all over the
Power.
country.
I've knocked doors with them. I knocked doors in Pennsylvania in Bucks County.
You led a team.
I was a team lead.
Yeah,
I
that's
in my
right.
volunteer capacity, I was a team lead
That's
with
right.
Common Power back in 2024, knocking doors. So like people, you could talk about, we were fighting for Kamala Harris back in
That's
2024
right,
because
and
we
you'll be
because we
out
knew that
again this year
I'll
if
be
your
out
wife
again
lets you. If
if
your wife lets
we'll see. We'll see. No, she will. We got real threats.
you
We
just
got
have
real
a baby in
threats.
the care. You just,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
knocking on doors with the
Yeah,
baby,
yeah, yeah. If that were to happen, because that's it's not public yet. But
Oh,
whatever. But yes, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you. We
make
got
America
Make
free.
America Free. Yes, Make America not authoritarian again. Make America Free. Go, go back, Charles. Since y'all are signing up, I'm staying for one more minute to just say thank you. Go find Common Power. Keep hitting that like button on your way out. Look at this. Do you see the like button? It is like a
Let's do
flurry.
it
Y'all are great. Thank you so much. And we do this every week. I also got to end by saying
every Friday.
every Friday, 11:30, me and Charles do this. Charles is actually out here on the ground, so we get dispatches from different states. They have teams
Yep.
everywhere across the country. A nonprofit run out of Seattle. They will fly out, sometimes pay for volunteers to go out themselves to
Hmm.
knock these doors to help boost pro-democracy candidates. And you gotta back Common Power's work. So go subscribe to them. And then if you have not already, become a paid subscriber to Ahmed Baba News, because we are rising in these charts and we are making a difference. So
That's
thank
right.
you so much for being here.
All right, y'all. See you
All
next
right.
week.
All right, Charles. I probably kept you over. You got to go to like 20 meetings. So
It's
I
all
gotta
good,
let you.
man. We're about to go make whistle kits. Actually, that's what we're gonna do. All right,
All
man.
right. All right, brother. See you.
Take care.
See you, everybody.